Okay. Hello, everyone, and welcome back to another video. Today, we will be discussing on actually preparing to get your first job. In the last episode, we talked about how you can excel in your master's program. We talked about specifically how you can make distinctions. And right now, assuming that has all gone well in your journey in our AI and data science career path, we want to discuss a little bit about how you can actually get your first job. My name is Arinze Akutekwe. I have a PhD in data science and computer science and informatics, and I currently work as a lead data scientist. I'm joined here by my friend and colleague again, Franklyn. Franklyn, can you introduce yourself to the audience?
Hello, everyone. My name is Franklyn Oliha. I have master's as a data scientist, currently working with the UK government as a machine learning engineer. Thank you for joining.
Excellent, excellent. So just a couple of points on this, because we get this question quite a lot. How do we've successfully helped a lot of people, and my last student actually graduated with a distinction from his master's, and he reached out to me a couple of weeks ago that he has finally made it. Thank you so much for all the advice and everything. Now it's time to get a job and all that. So how do we start? So the first thing I want to talk to us about is your CV, right? So your CV is obviously the thing that brings you in front of a potential organization. And so what would be the content of that CV? So I want to start with the very first thing. As a complete new person in the field, you've just finished your bachelor's or your master's, and you don't yet have extensive 10-year work experience, etc. What do you need to put in your CV to give you an advantage? Number one is your distinction project, all right? So if you have successfully graduated with your distinction, as we talked about and gave the points in our last episode, you want to include that thing that you did in your project in your CV. Talk about it. All right. Now, of course, if you had a merit, that is also great. You could have a distinction in your project, and maybe the courses that you did during your master's, for example, may not have made up everything to a distinction. So you can still talk about them. So the first thing, talk about your project that you did. What did you do in that project, your master's project? How did you solve a problem? How did you do your critical analysis? How were your results presented, and how testable are those results? So if we were to deploy that project in a real world scenario, what kind of impact could it potentially make for an organization out there, right? You want to include all those things in your CV in a nice 1 or 2 paragraph description. And also, you want to also include some of the things that you did in your modules, like we said. So if you've done a module in data science, for example, or let's say machine learning, for example, and you've learned about various kinds of algorithms and methods like support vector machine, gradient boosting methods, and XGBoost, etc., you probably want to include how maybe you used XGBoost to do this piece of work, your coursework. This was the accuracy and all that, how you compare various models and how you achieved certain results, and how that result could potentially have this kind of impact on your potential client, right? You want to include that sort of description on your CV. Great. Now, Franklyn is going to talk to us about the next point that is very crucial as well on your CV, point that you can include on your CV to make it really, really stand out.
Yes, so you should ensure that if you, during your studies, you had the chance to um, added placement to your degree, then you should include it. Include your placement. If not, if it's internship, you should also include your internship. Because if you are not opportune to go for placement during your studies, which I encourage you to do, but it's not everyone that have that chance, to have access to placement during their studies. But if you don't, I encourage you to probably go for internship. Those are some of the things you can add to your CV. Ensure that you add your link. You see, your GitHub, they want to see your hands-on experience, what you have done, what you can do. So ensure that you link your portfolio, your GitHub. It should be included in your CV, because recruiter, they will look at it to see the work you have done. So ensure that if you don't have access to, if you don't know how to build a portfolio, you can go to my YouTube channel. There was a tutorial that taught people how to build portfolio easily. Anyone can do that. So you can go and look at it and see how you can build portfolio by yourself, whereby you can link them to your CV. With that, add them to your CV so that a recruiter will want to look at that to see what you can do. So they see what you have done. That's very, very important. Also, your LinkedIn profile is very important. Optimize it, upgrade it. You are selling yourself. Recruiter want to know more about you. That will make them select you for interview, because you're not there to speak for your CV, is the one speaking for you. So try to sell yourself out there. How do you do that? Prove what you have done by linking your GitHub repo to your CV and portfolio. If you don't have access to portfolio, but ensure your GitHub link is there. All your projects, up to the updated projects, they are all there, including your project, your internship you did, your placement. Ensure that they are included as form of your experience here in the UK. Is very important, because that was kind of the mistake I made then when I did my first degree. I did not have chance for placement. So when I graduated, I struggled to get my first job because there was no experience. So if you have that internship or placement, that will give you an edge over others, because you already have the job experience. That would be easier for you to get to be able to get a job here in the UK, because UK here, most of them require that job experience. So that placement or internship will boost your chance of getting job easily. So yeah, that's my take on that.
Excellent, excellent. And it's always very important that we really seek out those placements. And even if it was a 12-week internship, yeah, and you were able to get it, then that will really, really give you that distinction. The third thing that we can add here is actually your certifications, right? So gone are the days where your degree was enough, right? Everybody has the same degree, all right? At least most people, or many people, thousands out there that you're competing with, potentially have that same degree, whether it's a bachelor's degree or a master's degree. So what do you do then? I'll speak from experience, because when we're really putting this together, I thought about how it worked for me. Okay, so back in the day, Coursera had just started, and I was looking for certifications or on data science, etc., to add to my CV. So I ended up doing the data science toolbox and the whole sort of data science courses on Coursera. I did as many as I could, and I did even more after I got my first job. So you have Coursera right now, you have deeplearning.ai, you have our own websites, because we train others as well in these areas. Okay, so this could give you very, very sound knowledge of these fields to help fill in various kinds of academic gaps, because what you did in your school is only a few things, right? There are a whole lot more, especially the field is very, very vast. Okay, there are new methods, new algorithms, new ways of doing things coming out every day, and you're not going to cover all that in your master's or bachelor's program. So this is where all these other courses come in. Again, you have data camp, like I said, deeplearning.ai, certifications. So currently there is this AWS certified AI or generative AI developer certification. If you're able to do that, that would be great. You know, ones on Azure AI fundamentals, etc. So these are potential certifications. Again, of course, you have the Google Cloud Platform ML engineer certifications. These are certifications that can distinguish you from the vast majority of people out there that are also looking for the same thing. And so by the time you have done these and put them on your CV in line with your degree programs that we've mentioned, it will really, really set you out there as a potential candidate. And most likely you're going to land yourself a job very soon. Great. One more point. Franklin is going to just talk to us about some of these portfolios and how important it is that you stay away from things that have been used and reused over time, right? So, of course, you don't want to be using the Titanic data set today because it's been used and overused. So, Franklin, I would like you to speak to the audience about the importance of these portfolio projects, putting some front end to it, some of the cargo projects, etc. Yeah, talk to us about that.
Yeah, so I'm going to add to what I've said earlier, that portfolio is very important, So how to make your portfolio standard? Ensure that you build projects, Ensure that don't just train data, don't just train model and stop there. Have end to end. Ensure that you are able to break out something into production, So ensure that you don't need to look for those cheap data set out there. Go to Cargo. There are a lot of data set. There are rich data set in Cargo, which you can use to build your project. Ensure you build your project, not only visualizing it. Use other tools. There's one of my projects that I built. I have to ensure that non-technical that are able to communicate with what I built. So I have to simulate my project for them on how it works. Tools like Gradio, Streamlit, these are some of the tools. They are very easy to use. They are not too heavy. I know I'm going from the developer part, but you can also use it's very easy. They are light. They are very easy to use for visualization. You can use that to simulate for your non-technical stakeholder. All those things put you on edge over others. So there was a system that I built using a UK house price prediction system. I got all the data set from Cargo. They are all free out there. I put all those data sets together to build a system. Then I also have to put it on Streamlit so that anybody can simulate and use it to see how it really works. All those are some of what you can do that can put you on edge over others. Have end-to-end app. It's very easy. Streamlit can do that for you, as I said. Gradio can do that for you. Those are some of the things you should put into consideration. As I said, Cargo is there. Ensure that your GitHub, again, your GitHub repo should be very clean, well organized, documented, because recruiter will go to look at it and see how you are organized, how you're able to do what you're doing. Put a link out there. If you're able to build a portfolio, list all your projects there, then add a link to your CV. So recruiter, once they go there, the first they will click, they want to look at your portfolio, see what you have done, or go to your GitHub repo, look at what you have done. All those will put you on edge over others than just have to present your key project without showing what you have done. So I will encourage you to ensure that if you want to be standard, ensure that you have your portfolio, organize your project, use Cargo and some other resources out there. There are free sources available now. Get good at a build project, visible project. Let it be end to end. Ensure maybe if you can, form of abuse, Gradio, as I said, or Streamlit to simulate how your system works. that will really help you to get job as soon as possible. I put an edge over others when recruiter are assessing your CV. Yeah.
Excellent, excellent. Thank you so much for that, Franklin. And that's all we have for this episode. We are literally out of time. But in our next episode, we're going to be talking about the various things actually creating that CV. All right. We've talked about the key points that you need to put or that should be in that CV. We talked about things like your dissertation, your courses. We've talked about other things like your internship and certifications, and of course your portfolio. In our next episode, we're going to be talking about actually that CV, giving you tips to some good samples, and we're actually going to be talking about some of the actual interview process or processes. So your phone interview, how it would be, what kind of call questions you expect,
What to
your
expect.
first stage interview, and potentially your second stage, depending on the kind of level of job that you are going for. And if you have any questions or comments, feel free to let us know in the comment section. Feel free to like this video and also subscribe, because we've gotten these questions in way too many times in our decades of career now, and we are putting this together to really help so many people out there to at least get a step ahead of others. And I hope you found it really useful. And until next time, it's us, and we will see you in the next video. Thank you. Thanks for watching.
Thank you for watching. See you on the next episode.